Om Satchidananda. It's a compound word, Sat, Chit and Anand, meaning ever-existent, consciousness and blissful. Let us recite this mantra orally with sound, becoming gradually feeble, then mentally, and finally meditate upon it as if we are just submerged in an ocean of blissful nectar. Word of any thoughts whatsoever. If a thought wave strikes, then repel it gently with the sound of Om. Om Satchidananda. 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 We can gradually open our eyes slowly. Welcome, Namaste, to our third session of Patanjali meditation. Today I have taken a Ved mantra from Atharvaved. Om Pranaya Namo Yasya Sarvamidam Vashe Yo Bhutah Sarvasyeshwaro Yasmin Sarvam Pratishthitam. Pran is another name for that cosmic spirit. Last time we discussed pranayam and which we'll continue today. Pran is that background forces that is working within our system to make our body, mind, instruments functional. So much so, even when we are in deep sleep, it is working. And that is why next morning when we wake up, everything is usable. And if it stops for a while, the whole system will collapse. So that is happening not only in this system, but throughout the universe. Everywhere there is a molecular motion at subatomic level, things are moving. And that is that background prime mover making everything work and function. So we bow to that Pran, Namo Pranaya, Sarvamidam Vashe, who rules over all that exists. Yo Bhutah Sarvasyeshwaro. Not only now, even in distant past, that's how that force has been functioning. Yasmin Sarvam Pratishthitam. All that exists in the world resides in that pranic force. So I have translated as we bow to Pran that rules over all that exists. That ruler of all did so in past too and is seated within all. We start with where we had left last time, the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. You will remember we were discussing 1.16. This was a context how to march in the direction of yoga in that particular slide from right to left. And he said it is a two-pronged approach, Abhyas Vairagyabhyam Tannayodha. That was 1.12. Abhyas and Vairagya. Abhyas I translated as practice, Vairagya as enunciation. And then he said Vairagya is of two kinds, and that's where we were slightly stuck in 1.16, which is describing the second level of enunciation. Now that will become more clear in 1.17. Let me read out the original. Vitark vichar ananda asmita rupanugamat sampajyata. Samadhi is coming from very first statement. So he is describing sampajyat samadhi that I am translating as intuitive cognition. So this has to be understood that when I have subdued my chitta, my mind is keen, it is no more connected with my five senses, yet somehow something appears on my mind screen. And that is what probably happened to Newton. He was relaxing in a garden, he sees an apple falling, and there is a flash in his mind. Some idea came which he did not read anywhere in any book, or he did not hear from anybody, but it just comes within himself. That is kind of an example of sampajyat samadhi. Something, a flash occurs in your mind screen when your mind is blank. He was relaxing. If he was scratching his head in his library, maybe that would not have happened. So these are those moments like Archimedes, very leisurely is walking into the pool and suddenly has an idea about that so-called buoyancy force. So such eureka moments come when your mind is void of any significant kind of conscious thought. You are not quite consciously thinking, you are letting it go anywhere, and suddenly a flash occurs. So that is what Patanjali is describing. Let me go to another slide which we have already seen, where we defined yoga as word of these 5 kinds of modifications. And then we said, if I have no more modifications, mind screen, this is my mind screen, chitta, it is blank, then I am in the other side of situation, and that is the path of yoga. And now we are seeing that there is a branch here also, and that is what 1.17 is talking. So we have made some progress. We have subdued these typical modifications of mind, and we have come here. Now here also now there are 2 branches. One is intuitive cognition, and that is what 1.17 is talking about, where something appears, and he has used 4 words, vitark, vichar, anand, asmita, swarupanugamat sampajyat samadhi. So intuitive cognition is of 4 kinds. Vitark is related to the some gross knowledge. Gross bodies are that they are amenable to our sense organs. And then there are subtle particles which we cannot see or touch, but they are like subatomic particles. So knowledge pertaining to those small particles is called subtle knowledge. And then there is another Anand and Asmita. I will explain it. But first, let me emphasize this part. These sense organs are not participating in this process. I am cut off from the external world, even from my 5 senses. I have subdued my mind screen. Then a flash is occurring. Where is it coming from? At this point, we are not saying anything. Patanjali is also silent, but he is classifying it into 4 categories, and that is what is a point to be noted. It is without sense organs functioning. Now, this is where I say 1.16 is relevant here, which talked about Vairagya level number 2. Now, this is assumed, this is presumed really, that Patanjali says you can come here only if you have achieved Vairagya level 1, which was Vashikar, which is related to the sensual pleasures, and you have written them off. Now in 1.16, if you remember, Tat Param Purush Khyate Gun Vaitishdhyam, now you can understand the previous sutta better. What he was saying was, you have to have enunciation of level 2 to go to final destination of yoga, and that requires, as you are proceeding in this direction, say you are enjoying this state, you are enjoying this state. Now if you enjoy these states of meditation and you say yes, I like it, and you just stay, you get stuck there, you make yourself hooked there, you don't want to go further, then you are not going through the enunciation of level 2. So enunciation of level 2 is that a meditation practitioner should go through this journey and should be very vigilant that this is not my end objective, this is not my destination. Though it is wonderful, I enjoy it, but I want to go beyond it. I want to go further than that. So I hope you can now understand 1.16 better, which I was trying to explain last time, that in the process of meditation, you will go through intermediate stations, but you should not feel, you should not think that this is my destination and just stay put there. This journey goes on until you come to the other point, other branch of yoga, that is what is called Purush Khyate. So that's what his name was, Tat Param Purush Khyate Gun Vaitishdhyam. So until this has been achieved, you should be willing to march forward in this particular direction, from right to left on this slide. And this is where, as I might have told you earlier in my session number 1, Kapil, who is the author of Sankhya, he calls it as this stage of understanding or self-realization is called Vivek Khyati. which is what Patanjali is calling Purush Khyati. So this was the Purush, this is my instrument of Chitta, and this was the typical modifications we go through. I have subdued them, I have come here. Now here, as a beginner of meditation practitioner, I go through these different stages, and Patanjali is just cautioning us that don't treat them as the final destination. You should be willing to go one after another, and then your objective is to land here somewhere. So that is the 1.16, 1.17 put together. I just devote some more time on 1.17 because of its importance. So I take an analogy, an example to explain intuitive cognition again. Suppose I am in my home and there is a glass mirror. So I am in my home, I am the soul, the glass mirror, which is an analogy as best as possible. And glass mirror is like my chitta. So at home I am watching and looking at the mirror, and it shows me the images of several objects which are surrounding me. So that is comparable to the Vitak Anugamat Samadhi, which shows you what are the just so many objects, and that mirror is a wonderful instrument that shows me the images of those objects, and I get excited. Oh, such a nice thing. Though I am looking there, but I see a wide angle view of so many objects which are here and there. Very good. So that is comparable to Vitak Samadhi. And now it is subtle knowledge. Sometimes you might have noticed in your home, like there is sunlight coming from the window, and then if you see from an angle, you see very small dust particles there. They are not visible directly, but if you are looking at the sunlight from an angle, they are visible to you. And maybe in the same kind of a scenario is possible. You look at the mirror, and if you go closely, oh, it is showing me certain small particles hanging in the air, which were otherwise not that possible. That is comparable to Vichara Samadhi. You are, though this shows image, but they are not visible to you. Now you are looking at the instrument, the mirror itself. That is comparable to Ananda Samadhi. And then you see nothing else, not even the mirror, but your own image in the mirror. That is comparable to Asmita Samadhi. Just an analogy, I am trying to explain what those four stages of intuitive cognition is. Now somebody may have a question, or I make it myself this question, because the third possibility has been translated as Ananda Samadhi, blissful Samadhi. It gives an impression to a lay person as if this should have been my end objective when I feel so good. Ananda is a blissfulness. Why should this not be the final stage? But this is coming as I am able to see the instrument, or like you see this screen. Before you entered into the hall, the screen was in its raw state, blank. And that is what is comparable to the level 3 here, stage 3 of the intuitive cognition, where you see the instrument in its raw state, not as if it is showing you something. And now I have to tell you why Patanjali chose the word Ananda for this. I take you to Sankhya. This is on our day one. I read out this longest statement of Kapil in Sankhya. Sattva rajas tamasam samyavastha pakete pakete mahan mahato ankar. We will not go much beyond it. I am just trying to draw your attention to Sattva rajas tamasa samyavastha pakete pakete mahan. So our chitta has been called, but Kapil is calling it Mahat, which is the word here, Mahan. And then he says, out of Mahat, Ahankar is made, and out of Ahankar, Panchatanmatyani, etc. But let's just pay our attention to this part, that Prakriti is our our source of matter, and very first thing made out of Prakriti is Mahan. And that is what our Chit is. And that Prakriti is in equilibrium with three modes, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So today, of course, we will go into detail in the second chapter of Patanjali Yoga slightly later. But today I must say, I will loosely translate these three elements or three modes, I should say. If you remember, this is where I gave an example. A school girl ties her hair in a particular knot manner where three parts are tied into one. That was the example I was giving for Prakriti. Prakriti is made of three modes, but it is one thing, three into one put together. Now, Sattva is loosely translated as happiness, joy, Rajas as pain, and Tamas as dullness, when you become deep in slumber. So, this is what our mind is. We are always moving from joy to pain to sleep, isn't it? In 24 hours, if you examine your states, this is a mixture of all these three possibilities. We will not go much into detail at this point. So, Sattva is the happiness, joy. So, by what Patanjali and Kapila are trying to say, our mind screen, our chitta is by design, it is rich in sattva. So, in default state, it is always making us joyful. And here I give an example, a small child who is quite natural in early age, few months or a couple of years, and his default state is he is smiling. A child should be happy. If he is not happy, there is some reason for that. And he doesn't have to have a reason to be happy because that is his default state. And that is what makes our philosophers, our rishis prove that our chit, its very natural design is, it is rich in sattva. And that is why, if I come back to this slide 1.17, when I am able to see my chitta in its very raw state, it is going to make me feel good like a child feels when he is in his normal state. I hope I have described 1.17 as well as I could. Now I devote some time to two more statements of Patanjali, 118 and 119, and from 1.20 we will discuss next week. So 1.18 is Vyam Pratyay Abhyas Purva Sanskar Shesho Anya. What he's saying is renunciation of level 2, repeatedly assimilated, gives rise to the sanskar for the other kind, which is what anya means, sanskar shesho anya, asampajyat samadhi. So this is what he is saying. As we, coming back to that slide, now I can describe 1.18 better. What he's saying is, as we are practicing the level 2 of enunciation, that I don't allow myself to be grounded in any of these stations, I keep moving in this direction. That gives rise to, he is using a technical term now, sanskar. I will tentatively translate it as seed. So I am, as I am moving in this direction, I am generating seed for this kind of samadhi. That is what is the meaning of 1.18. Then 1.19 is bhav pratyayo, videhe prakriti layanam. Now he's saying there are some individuals in this world who have an edge in this journey. You know, this is the philosophy of reincarnation, and from our past birth, we have, having used the term sanskar, he is saying that there are some individuals in this world, of course, very few, couple, very small number in this billions of humanity, very few people who have brought that sanskar from their previous life, and then he gives them two names, Videh and Paketela. So Videh and Paketela are two kinds of people who are accomplished in asampajat samadhi, that superior kind of samadhi, by birth. Because, and then why there are two classifications? Because Videh had accomplished the intuitive knowledge of gross and subtle objects in the previous life, and Prakriti lay up to present state. I come back to 1.17 diagram to describe what he is trying to say. He is trying to say Vidya is a particular kind of class of people. In their previous life, they had mastered the intuitive cognition up to this level, and that's where their life had ended. Now, in this current life, they have an edge because they already have the talent of this in their mind, or whatever you call it, where those sanskars are lying. So now, when they practice, they will go much faster. You can slightly understand, like some of us are interested in meditation and make some fast progress, and there are many people who are not interested in it, or if even they take interest, they don't make that kind of a fast progress, because these are all our what is called sanskar, our hidden talents that we are born with. And of course, they get further added up as we progress in our current life, but we have to accept it that there is a lot of talents we bring with us from our previous lives. So Vidya is a person who has who had mastered this level of meditation in the previous life, and Paketila is another kind of individuals who had mastered up to this kind of level, and they will of course have an edge in the present current life, and the objective is to move on to this part. That is the overall discussion on 1.18 and 1.19. And of course, next is 1.20, which I think is good to start next week, which is for, let me read it out, Shraddha Virya Smriti Samadhi Prajya Purvat Itayesham. Itayesham for others. We fall into that category. We probably haven't got by birth that much of strong talents in meditation practice. So we are in the others category. Now in 1.20, he will describe how others can make progress in this kind of meditation. So that we'll discuss next week. Continuing with our continuing with our discussion, which I had left halfway through last week, related to practice of deep breathing and how much harmful can it be if our breathing is deficient. So quickly going through the slides which we had already seen, that I am a composite of body, mind and soul, or spirit or self, whatever you call it. But these two fantastic instruments of body and mind are made functional by a domain called pranic domain, and we have seen the beautiful mantra from Atharvaved, how pranic forces are working non-stop within me, in my pind, as well as in the Brahmand, in the entire universe. So I have put a lot of arrows here. The food that we are eating, consuming through the body and is digested, and that is what is energizing, is the acting as the fuel for the pranic domain. I like to call it as powerhouse. This is our powerhouse where the fuel is coming from the body domain. And of course, this powerhouse is giving out that subtle energy, lifefulness, and that is given back to the body domain. And it is also giving the subtle energy to my mind domain also. I have put another arrow from mind to the breath, because if it comes to that, through my mind, I can slightly influence the functions here, in particular breathing. And that's why Patanjali has utilized that fact and in classifying a domain and a step called pranayam in his Ashtanga Yoga. And then I have put another arrow as if this is notionally placed between body and mind. Those who are aware of Panch course description, they will probably tally it with this. This is my Annamaya course, this is my Pranamaya course, this is my, the so-called outer part of mind is Manomaya course, and when I go to inner part of mind, this is Vijnanamaya course, and then there is a very close to me, there is so-called Anandamaya course. That Anand we have seen just now, and that is what you can correlate from what we have discussed today. When I am delinked from all of these four, I am going to be in Anandamaya course, I will feel good. And that's what the objective is of yoga and meditation is. So let's quickly see a couple of more slides which we had discussed previously. This is the diaphragmatic abdominal breathing we have seen. So as I breathe out, my abdomen shrinks inward. It's not very, I just borrowed this image from the internet. It's not quite showing, but whether it is showing or not, immaterial. We should know that for breathing function, the primary organ is nostrils. So whether we breathe out or breathe in, it should be done through the nostrils. But it is such a vital function. If our nostrils, nasal passage is blocked, I can do it through the mouth, but that doesn't mean that breathing should be done through the mouth. Its primary organ is nostrils. So breathe out, the abdomen shrinks inward, and as I breathe in, abdomen expands outward. And then we had looked at what we had studied in high school, the chemistry of metabolism. We know that carbon dioxide comes out of our breath and we induct fresh oxygen from the atmosphere. So that is the chemistry taking place in our bloodstream every moment, in every blood cell, where carbon is essentially coming from the food intake and oxygen is coming from our breathing process. And these numbers are significant, called stoichiometric ratio, coming from atomic and molecular weight. They have a story to say that 12 gram of carbon will give out its 120 food calories. That energy is stored in it, is latent in it, but it can give out only if it goes through this chemistry, and from which it must be able to meet 32 grams of oxygen. And then we just imagined, if there is deficiency in oxygen by 50% in my breathing, then what is the scenario? Somebody could say that this is very large number. Indeed, an automobile engine will not function if there is deficiency of just 10 to 12%. It's like your air filter is choked due to dust particles, etc. It stops functioning. You have to go to an engine mechanic. But here, I am taking 50%. But believe me, that's what a medical scientist told me one day, that there are human beings who are breathing just at 15%. They have deficiency by 85%, particularly those who smoke, where nicotine has been deposited so much in their lung pouches that only 14-15% of air they are able to breathe in, what otherwise should have been our ideal 100% capacity. So don't be afraid of 50%. This is not an exaggeration. So that's where I had left last time, asking you what would be the numbers here. I don't know, when I go slightly, it's slight sensitivity to the microphone. Okay, because it's not as simple, just saying 12 plus 16 will be 28. The situation is something like, suppose you go to downtown, there is a dating club or something like that. There are 50 boys, or let's say there are 100 boys and 50 girls. So of course, at the end of dating process, 50 boys will come with a girl in hand, but 50 boys will be without girl because there is no more. There are just 50 girls for 100 boys. So that's the situation here. 12 gram of carbon would have mated with 32 gram of oxygen, but only 16 gram is available. So only half of this can burn and other half remains unburned. So that is what is seen in the next slide, that though 12 gram is carbon is available, that much of 120 calories of food energy is available. I have consumed the food, but not everything gives out energy because there is deficiency in oxygen. Only half of this can burn with oxygen. 6 plus 16 will become 22 gram of carbon dioxide, and this 6 gram gives rise to 60 food calories. But other 6 gram, which did not find oxygen, just comes on the other side. In an engine, it will just go out of exhaust system. But in our case, it is not that simple because my liver, kidney will process it to take out all kinds of toxins. A lot of this energy will go in processing this, and I will be building up my toxins level, gaining nothing out of it, and then A lot of energy is wasted or is utilized, or what should I say, in getting rid of this, which has not benefited me at all. So most of us are breathing like this, and that is where. So I think this course, particularly pranayam, is so important. Deep breathing, and we must thank Patanjali that he has made pranayam as an important step precursor to meditation, because that is what will make our breathing deeper, and I will induct oxygen to the full capacity. And you can see this is the number one problem associated with everybody's health, and nobody is talking about it. Everybody is silent that we are not breathing well. So that is where an important correction is required, and that's what you can see Patanjali is helping us do that. So he has integrated pranayam, deep breathing, in his prescription of Ashtanga Yoga meditation process. So before we go through meditation, we do a deep breathing. Somebody can ask me, we are breathing for 24 hours. And in 24 hours, just for 2-3 minutes before meditation, if I do deep diaphragmatic or abdominal breathing, I induct more oxygen. How much of a difference does it make? 24 hours is so big, 2 minutes are so small. So good amount of oxygen just for 2 minutes doesn't compensate for deficiency of 24 hours. Very important question, and it has a good answer. Answer is, when you are practicing for 2 minutes, don't look at it just 2 minutes in 24 hours. This is an important breathing exercise. This is an important intervention you are doing to your body's breathing pattern. And in a few weeks or few months, your body will learn to breathe exactly like that. So what we are hoping in this meditation practice, in a few weeks, or maybe by now some of you are doing like that, that you will find your so-called normal breathing, which body does in its automated fashion 24 hours non-stop, that will become deeper breathing. So anything we learn is just for a few minutes, like we learn driving a car, we learn riding a bicycle, 5, 10, 20 minutes a day, but then it becomes part of you. Once you have learned, once a boy learns how to ride a bicycle, he is even riding with hands free and talking to his friend and all that. He is paying much less attention to that activity of riding a bicycle. But when he was practicing it, he was paying 100% attention, isn't it? That's how he picked up that skill. But now that he has that skill, now body does it automatically, and he is talking to somebody leisurely and so on and so forth. So that's what we are doing. A few minutes intervention of deep breathing will make it happen that our body will breathe in that same manner, abdominally, diaphragmatically, throughout the day. And once you have done that, I am so much fascinated with that, and I cannot overemphasize it. Please take it. This is very, very important thing in your life. Air is the most important survival substance without which we cannot live even a minute. Available in plenty for free, but we are not taking it. We are not absorbing it, and that is the tragedy of the health situation in the modern times. And the worst thing is nobody is talking about it. The whole community is silent. But this is what meditation will gain you that, and your breathing will become, just imagine, 24/7 you are breathing deep, you will have no health related problem. Your visits to doctor will reduce, and we will probably devote a session what all will be the benefits if my breathing is abdominal breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, 24/7. As you have seen, these are the 5 steps. I think by now you know them very well, because I have urged you, you have to practice this at home every day. Don't treat it as a weekly, just 1 hour session. Yes, we are meeting 1 hour, but every day you must devote some minutes to this practice, because we have to talk and walk together. If we are not walking, then you are not going to assimilate as we bring in new ideas and new skills and new things. As you might see in step one, today we will improve our body posture, we will learn Siddhasana, but all this will become meaningless if you are not practicing at home every day. That is very, very important. And of course, it is challenging in these first few weeks. You may say, I am so busy, I don't have 10 minutes to devote on meditation. But as I have said earlier, I urge you to spend some time, maybe 5 to 6 minutes on what we start with informal meditation, and 10 to 12 minutes on formal meditation. That's what we are doing every week in the session. We start with informal meditation, 5 minutes, and 10 to 12 minutes on formal meditation. Please do that, both of them at least once a day, and you will say, I don't have extra 12, 15, 17 minutes a day. But if you accept my advice, you invest somehow, find out 15, 17 minutes a day on meditation. I will say in 4 to 6 weeks, you will yourself notice that you are getting some time back. Principally from sleep, your sleep quality will improve, and then maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes you are getting from your sleep account. And not only that, from your whole day, you will notice that now certain tasks which might have taken, used to take 2 hours a day, now you can do that in 1.5 hours, 1.75 hours a day. So you will be gaining time because of meditation practice. But first 4 to 6 weeks are challenging, where you have to invest, and then the return will start coming. So let's review these 5 steps. So when you are at home, and yes, I have said it probably, that you can, if you are not able to make notes or you want to see this again, please write us a line. We will send you the link of all the sessions, so you can watch them again. A particular aspect you want to see carefully again, you have that possibility. So if you write to us, we will send you the link of any session that has taken place. And these are YouTube recording, they get automatic recorded. So, you can, while you are playing this YouTube recording, you can stop where you want. You can look at that slide for many, many minutes. Everything you can do as you like it. So let's look at it. These are 5 steps. The story is coming from body, breathing, outer mind, inner mind, and me in my cave. So the first step is ask. The Sanskrit word, I don't want to load you with Sanskrit words, but still for those who know them, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, and dhyan. So this is body posture, deep breathing, instruction to my mind, then focusing your mind at a point, and then going deep in my cave. That is meditation. So these are 5 steps, and as I have hinted, today we want to improve our body posture. And let me go into my webinar monitor room so that our distant learners can also see, and those who are distant in this hall, they can also see. So as I tried to explain last time, the starting position is my both feet are spread out. So in our session 1, the simple posture that I suggested was Sukhasana. That was very simple. You just fold your 2 feet inward and let the feet go under the thighs. It doesn't matter whether the left one comes first or the right one is folded first. Just you do it instinctively, whatever you are used to. So left, in my case, usually left comes forward first, but no matter, doesn't matter quite. And this was our Sukhasana posture. We were taking care that lower back, shoulder and neck was in a straight line, but not to make it stiff too much, very relaxed. Your hands can be at the knees, or the palms are locked into each other, or one palm above another. All this is left to you. Whatever you feel good, you do that. Today we are improving. I am suggesting, because I personally like that so much, And indeed, our rishis also liked it. That's why they gave it a name, Siddhasana. Siddha means proven, proven to be the best posture for meditation. So this is Siddhasana. In 4 steps, I am trying to explain it. The starting position is same. Both the feet are spread out. Now, step 1, the left foot is brought inward such that the heel is on the center line. Below, in my case, it is touching a soft spot below testicles. So there is a soft spot. With the experience, you will become familiar with it. But never mind, just let it touch somewhere there. This was step 1. Let's observe on my left side. This is the thigh and the calf. Between thigh and the calf, there is a valley. That is an observation. Now, step number 2 is I fold my right foot inward such that this portion of the foot gets tucked into that valley. It just gets tucked in, no problem. That's the right place for it to fit in. Now, if you observe my knees position closely, my left knee is touching ground, but right knee is slightly above the ground. And that is the correction that is being made in the next step 3. In step 3, I use my right palm facing myself, and there is a valley on my right side between thigh and the calf, and I let my right palm slip through this valley here. Now I hold the biggest toe of the left foot and I gently pull it up. Now the left toe is visible here, it is above, and in this process my right knee is touching the ground. Now both the knees are touching the ground and body weight is being passed on to the earth through maximum surface area. Therefore, this posture is most relaxing posture, and with practice, I will say I am able to sit almost 2 to 3 hours in this posture. So this is such a beautiful posture, wonderful posture. Finally, step number 4, just the right foot, which was tucked into the left valley. In the step 3, it might have slipped slightly. We just lock it here. So once this is locked, your Siddhasana has been attained. A very quick review. It wasn't difficult, but just in case, and as I have said, you can always watch this movie again and again. This is on YouTube film, but it's not publicly available. It is available only for the attendees of this course. And you have to write to us, then we send you the link. And don't pass it on, just it is for your study, because we teach it as a serious course. We are not making fun out of it. So it's a serious, those who are seriously interested, we want to help their understanding, learning. Now, step 1. The left foot is brought inward such that the heel is on the center line, lowest part. That was step 1. I observe on my left side between thigh and calf a valley. Now I fold this is step number 2. I fold my right foot inward so that the foot gets tucked into the valley on the left side. My right knee is slightly above the ground, and that is what will be handled now. Step 3 now, I use my right palm, let it pass through the right valley, and hold the biggest toe, gently pull it up. Now the toe is visible, and the right knee is touching the ground. Finally, the 4th step, I hold my left foot and make sure it remains locked in here. So all the lower limbs are now locked in, and I can be very carefree from the body, what Patanjali has called Sthir Sukham Asanam. But having said that, I am not asking you to sit in today's meditation, not necessarily in, sorry about this, not necessarily in Siddhasana. Take the posture that you like, Sukhasana or Siddhasana, or for that matter, even Vajrasana and Padmasana are possible, whatever you like it. And at home, when you are doing it, if you find all this very cumbersome, you might even take the support of a wall. Even if that is not working out well, you can stretch out your 2 feet ahead Even if that doesn't work out, you can sit on a dining chair without arm. All combinations are possible, but don't give yourself much allowance. Always keep in mind, week by week, you want to make progress. Finally, you want to come to Siddhasana. If not to Siddhasana, at least Sukhasana. Okay, that was so much for this. I go back to the slide sharing mode. So that was our body posture. We have already discussed Sukhasana, Siddhasana, the 4 steps I mentioned, which we have gone through. The abdominal breathing, that also we learned last time in 4 phases. Deep breathe out, holding the breath out, then deep breathe in, then holding within. If some of you know the Sanskrit terms, this is called Rechaka, Bahya Kumbhaka, Puraka, Abhyantara Kumbhaka. So that will be our deep breathing for a couple of minutes. As soon as that is over, we will wait for our breathing to become normal so that I can disconnect from it and instruct our mind, our Sakyate, the code word being Om. And then once the sound is over, we are quite calm. We focus our mind at the third eye. This is a notional place, and we imagine as if my mind is stationed there. That would be what is called concentration, or people call it mindfulness, as if mind is on one thing, what Patanjali calls dharana. And from that moment on, when we are with an opportune moment, I can disconnect from my mind. I imagine as if I continue to watch in my forehead, as if there is an infinite sky, and I walk into that sky, get lost, nothing is happening. So being in nothingness is meditation. And that's what I've been always saying. If you are in meditation and if mind sends in a thought wave, be conscious, don't entertain it, and instruct it very quietly, calmly with that code word. Om. So you may have to do it multiple times. And never mind if your mind is very much bombarding with thought waves, you might as well spend the whole moment, whole duration in reciting Om, Om. Everybody will take his own time to get to that blank, blind spot, where nothing is happening. But don't submit to your mind, don't get into a thought wave. That is what mind is doing, because that's what we instructed our mind throughout the life. Today we are demanding something opposite from our mind. It will take time. Don't blame it. With practice, it will learn. If your mind knows you are the master and you just don't like to have any thought wave at this point and you really love meditation, then it will get the message and it will stop disturbing you. Now we begin our meditation. I am setting an alarm. Sorry, we are slightly exceeding. This is 10:38. I'm putting for 10:50. We are exceeding by 5 minutes. I hope you will be able to. Yes, we are already in our body posture. Let's do a couple of minutes of deep breathing. Deep breathe out. Hold the breath out. Deep breathe in. Hold it within. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it within. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it within. One more last cycle. Deep breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it within. Let our breathing be normal so that we can disconnect from it. If we are doing pranayama, it means our mind is engaged with breathing. Now we are disengaging from it. Because deep in my cave, I don't want to be aware of anything. Neither the body, nor the breathing, nor the mind. Let's recite that sound together 5 times. Om. Om. We can gradually open our eyes now. That was our session number 3. And now I will see you next week. Thank you all.